Hello, my name is Gilbert Angano, and I'll be talking about my American identity. On screen right now is a picture of a little kid in a sombrero that I looked up as filler because I don't have that many pictures myself. Only have a few on my phone. Actually, I have one right here. Alright. Anyways, moving back to the video, I'll be talking about my ethnicity starting off. Ethnically, I am Hispanic, and as a little kid, I was not taught much about my culture. My parents and grandparents just taught me what they saw was needed. As I got older, I did learn a little bit more from Mexican American history and Mexican American literature, but it wasn't enough to really cover up my blatant obscurity in it. Society would see this as an issue nowadays. Some people always tell me that's an issue, but personally, I never had an issue with it, even if I don't make connections with people because of it. I rather make connections with people with things like personal interests or mutual friends, because I find those to be a lot more interesting. Anyway, I'll be moving on to my social class next, and as a little kid, I jumped around a lot from social classes. I went from lower middle class to higher middle class to low class in just a few years because of weird shifts in my life. And as a little kid, I did see this as a huge issue. I lost a lot in those few years that I had just gotten, and I did actually complain a lot and made me a little upset. But as I got older, I did learn a lot from it, like how I should look for less monetary value and more moral or just self-improvement value that I get from things. Also, I learned that you should look for secured wealth rather than estranged wealth, because secure wealth won't just be lost in a few years. Anyways, next I'll be talking about my religion. And as a little kid, my mother and my grandmother did try to teach me a little bit more about Catholicism. I personally never got into it. My father, on the other hand, did teach me just to be whatever I really wanted, so I kind of stuck with that. And as I got older, I did start to look for more of my own stuff and my own beliefs. And in society, people kind of are torn on this one, because some people will see this as, oh, you need to learn from your parents and stick to what they give you, and others are just saying that you should believe in what you want and don't let other people run your life. Personally, I can agree with both, because learning from your parents is a lot more easy and it's got a lot more rich history behind it. But personally, things like that never stuck with me, so I just picked up on my own things and kept moving with it. Lastly, I'll be talking about my gender roles that were pushed on me as a kid and pushed on me nowadays. And as a kid, I was pushed around to be made a little bit tougher. And back then, I did see that as awful. I hated it. Just didn't like it too much. And while it did make me tougher, I do remember being very emotional as a kid because of it. And I would assume that most people have been through this as well, because I just know a lot of people with similar stories. As I got older, however, I did see the effects of it. I am a lot tougher as a person because of it, mentally, emotionally, physically. With that nowadays, I am seen to have to be a lot more tough, and I am also only expected to do jobs with physical labor. I was expected to work at a warehouse for a bit, and at the moment I am applying at a cement factory once I get out of school. I believe this issue is also pretty torn in society, because people would want someone to follow gender roles, as well as they'd also want someone to be their own person, so this just kind of goes back and forth. Personally, I feel that gender roles can be useful, but honestly, a person with individuality could also be a lot more useful. American identity can be so many different things now that own uniqueness is basically what American identity is. It's just uniqueness. However, I do believe there are still people that aren't too accepting of differences. But there is proof that time does change people, and over time people will be more accepting of differences. And hopefully, in the future, we can all come together as a society to create a better world through our society rather than through fighting and arguing amongst ourselves.